We're going to be talking about year-end closing procedures with Abraham Litzman, who was with us a couple of weeks ago talking about month-end procedures.
Thank you very much. Okay, so again, thank you, Carl. I enjoy being able to share some of the things that I've picked up over the years. If you've done this before, right, there's certain things that have to be done every year, and there's certain things that have to be done on a timely basis, right? And it doesn't matter whether it's B1 or if it's any other system, right? You have to have clearly defined cutoff dates for transactions, for financials, things like that. And it's critical, and we'll probably touch on this again in a minute. It's critical to communicate in advance anybody who's going to be impacted. And don't wait till the last minute to come up with the list of everything, because there might be people that are impacted that might not be apparent in the beginning, but if you have time to look at it and have other people look at the lists to see, you might realize that, oh, it's not just finance, right? It's billing, it's receiving, it's ordering, it's, inventory, customers. So who knows, right? But it could be a number of different people or a lot of different people that need to be aware of what those cutoff dates are. And they need to plan for themselves and maybe for their entire department to be prepared for those cutoff dates. Right? So one of the things that we know we have to do, we talked about, is the posting periods, right? Again, you don't need to wait till the end of the year to set up your new posting periods, right? If this is the first time you've done this, right? So there's a couple of features, one in particular I would want to point out, right? So when you go to create your new periods, right, you just click here on new periods, and the period code, what most people do is they just put in the year. This is a brand new demo database from SAP, and they've given me a lot of use in the future. So when you do the period code and the period name, and I do months, right? Then when that is created, it will automatically look like the prior year, where you see 2025 01, 2025 02, 2025 03. So this will say 2026 01 23 because it'll have the 12 periods, right? And you see we've got the date ranges for posting period, for due date, and for document date. So one of the features that was added in version 10, I'm going to cancel this, is the ability to create new periods with a due date into the next financial year. And what you can do here is, and this is generally going to be based, you can do it manually or you can do it automatically. This is based on your furthest out payment term, whether it's for payables or receivables, right? So that means that let's say that my longest term is 90 days, right? So if I put in here January, February, March, the end of March, right? Now when I go to do my new period, you'll see here that my posting dates still say January to the end of December, as do my document dates, right? But the due date now allows me to go out into January, February, March, right? 90 days into 2027. And that's because I'll need to do that, right? If I've got a due date on a document, if this date doesn't extend, right, then at the end of the year, I'm going to have a problem. If you're October, November, December for this current year, right, if they were not set up with due dates that extended into next year, right, then if you try to create a document that the due date's next year, it's going to give you an error. And hopefully none of you experience that. But what this option does is it gives the option to do that automatically. And so all the due dates, right, will be set back. If you don't want to do that, you don't have to select this, right? In which case, you're just going to want to manually go in and do it yourself. So for instance, if I go into 2025, right, you'll see the due date only goes to December 2025. I can go in the last couple of months and extend the last couple of months. Let's see, let's go to February, right? I can do that manually, and that way I don't have to update every single thing, right? So either way you do it, right? You just, whatever's more convenient for you. And then, because just again, you can see, right, the due dates go for the entire year here. If you don't use this feature. And then the other thing, as I'm sure you know, is to automatically update the period status to closing period for every existing period. So oftentimes a company will, and that's the date, not the number, that's the days after the new period starts, not the date. You want to be able to tell your salespeople, right, and your purchasing people, you need to get all your orders into the system by a certain day, right, or so many days after the beginning of the month, so that you can close your books. And this automatically changes that period from unlocked to closing, so that if they try to enter something after that date, right, they won't be able to. And again, hopefully you guys are already familiar with that, right? So that really is what you need to do to set up those posting periods, right? Just making sure that the due date, right, the to due date, this one right here, show you again, right? This one, the due date from and the due date to, right? Just make sure towards the end of the year, depending on your longest payment term for receivables or payables, make sure that it extends far enough to do that.